over 100 hours later, and my biggest, stupidest, most entirely pointless build is finally complete. Hello! My name is Phil Kwan, and welcome to episode 26 of Hollow Mountain Survival. Last episode, we were at this massive turtle of ours, and we transformed what was once an incredibly ugly, destroyed, stony mess into this beautiful, sandy oasis, which also included destroying that entire chunk of mountain that used to be there, and that was a lot of work. But today, we have a lot more work ahead of us. Not only is there going to be a lot more terraforming work to do with these mountains, I'm also going to be texturing the ground, adding a bunch of coral and vegetation to make it look beautiful, filling the whole thing with water, and then creating a whole ancient civilization around this turtle. It's gonna be a big episode. There is so much to do, and I don't really know where to start. It's kind of overwhelming. First things first, I suppose, I'm gonna need to grab a bunch of gravel, dirt, and clay in order to texture all of this ground so it's not just solid sand. I don't know if I have all of that. I definitely have dirt. Yeah, just a few blocks of dirt. Not too many. But as I feared, gravel might be an issue. I want at least 2 shulker boxes. I'm gonna have to go gravel some more. Gather some more. Be right back. Well, between those 2 little stony shores, I got nearly 4 shulker boxes of gravel. So I think that'll do. Okay, and now all that's left is clay, which I don't think I have much of. I don't even know if I have a spot to store it. Oh my god, okay. I was wrong. You usually are. Alright, well, I guess that means I'm ready to go. Let's hit it. Oh, that took so much longer than I expected. But it's okay, because you know what? It looks good. It's definitely an improvement on what I had before. I don't think I quite nailed the natural generation as much as I wanted to. Either way, it looks better than it did, and you're not going to be able to see it this clearly once I add all the vegetation and fishies and water. That's the main one. Yep, the water. And then this thing should look pretty amazing. I think the next step is going to be to add all the water, which again, is going to take a while. This project, man, I cannot wait till it's done. And not because it's going to look amazing, which it totally will, obviously, because I'm building it and I'm amazing. But because it has been so much effort. Like, this is like, episode 3 or 4 of just working on this in total? Like, it's wild. And it's completely aesthetic. There's no functionality. It's not even really part of my base. My base is over there. Why am I doing this? It's just to torture myself. I don't know why I do it. This is pain. Feel my pain. All right, and now that my tools are repaired and I've lost 90% of my audience, I can start filling in the water. And to help me with that, we're gonna call back my old pal Poseidon from episode 20. Why? Because that episode is, for some reason, by far my most popular survival episode. And I'm going to pretend it's all because of the Poseidon bit. So, let's do this all over again. Give me attention. Please. And with the help of my buddies, Poseidon and Zeus, I have all the water in place. And you know what? It does look a lot better than I thought. Comparing it, it's one and the same. It merges, it looks good. I'm happy with that. Oh, and guess what? The best part of all, there's fishies! Look, I didn't put these here. These birthed from my river. These are my fish babies. Fish, I am your father.
No, this can't be. It's not possible. And again, Mama always said father never got out of his shell. Could it be? Papa?
I didn't even know that was a thing that could happen, so that saved me a lot of trouble. All I want to add now is just turtles. But we'll save that till the end, because we got still a lot more work to do, despite me staying up until like 2 a.m. to put all this water in place. I'm gonna go get me some coral. And some kelp. I think that should about cover it. Oh yeah, I picked up the perfect amount of kelp. What are the odds of that? And now, please allow me to cleanse your soul with the purest, most ancient form of healing. Pickle ASMR. You're welcome. And I just need a big old bucket of bone meal. And I'm good to go. Let's make it pretty. And with the coral in place, it was time for grass, pickles, kelp, baby coral. Which, despite taking the longest out of the last few segments to build, made the least amount of difference. But hey, it's done, and I know that I didn't cheap out, which feels good. And of course, the whole thing is done. And I want to know what you think about it, because for me personally, it's not quite what I imagined. I think I might have gone a little overboard with all the kelp. It looks a little crowded, but it is supposed to look really full and lifey. What's the opposite of lifeless? Lifeful? Lively. That's what it is. Different letter. Anyway, yeah, it looks lively now. One thing I will say though, this looks really stupid now. Like, at least on the other side, we've got kelp and stuff going on. But this is just... it's just nothing. Looks dead. So I think I'm going to quickly run over this with some bone meal. But only bone meal, because it's not in the path of the turtle. Therefore, based on the lore that I made up, that I'll go into more detail later, it shouldn't have been prettified, you know? I'm making up words today. There we go. I think that looks a little better. Oh, also, fun fact. I did not have enough anything to build this. I really thought I got everything I would need. No, I had to go gather coral. Like, inventory is full of coral, like at least 4 more times. I also ran out of kelp and pickles and baby corals. It was a lot of work, not gonna lie. But we're so close to done now. This is like the main part of the build. Like, this is the focal point. And that's complete, so now we just gotta do the surrounding area, and life is good. Which means next on my list, I need to shave off some of this mountain. Because this looks, well, stupid, frankly. This will not do. I gotta actually make it look like a natural curve, since I carved into this whole thing. But I'm not doing the whole thing quite yet, and you'll see why in a moment. But let's start with rounding this off at least. Alright, well, that ended up being the most time-consuming portion of this video yet, and would have made for a super satisfying time-lapse. But Minecraft crashed and I lost all of the footage. 'Cause of course I did. But not to worry. We are going to hit the time-lapse for this right side, which will be done a little differently as I plan to keep the majority of the mountain intact. I'll show you what I mean. And just like that, the left side is done, and the right side is done. It all turned out pretty good in the end. You'll also see, I added this little chunk here, kind of floating above, because I really wanted the mountain to round out nicer than, you know, that. So I wanted to round it out a little bit, because for the next step of my plans, I'm going to be actually carving into this now. Just like a bit out of the middle. And although it is all looking fantastic, it is not looking all that fantastic because we've got all this stone everywhere and it's ugly, and this is also kind of weird to be on the top layer. So I'm just gonna quickly turn all of this into grass and I'll be right back. And now we have grass and a little bit of dirt, but that's okay, it'll grow, we're all good. And now that that's in place, this area still feels like it's missing something. You know, it is kind of complete, but it looks silly. Why? Because this is all forest and dense. This is empty and not dense. What's the opposite of dense? Man, what is with me and not knowing English today? Doesn't matter. Point is, I want to plant some trees. On this side, fill it all in with jungle. This side, fill it all in with dark oak. And yeah, should be pretty fun. This I am gonna do in a time lapse because I like the idea of watching trees grow, because they're like my little tree babies, and I get to watch them grow. You know, get the little sprouts. Boop 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 boop. You get it. Let's do that. Time lapse. And now that all my babies are in place, this is looking incredible. Not gonna lie, the difference that made is huge. And it didn't even take very long either. But fun fact, it took me longer to destroy a forest to get saplings than it did to actually make this forest a thing. Not really what I anticipated spending my time on, but that's okay, because it's done. And that now means we only have 2 things left to do. If we fly over here, and you ignore everything past this point, we have this big old chunk of mountain that needs to be cleaned up. And by cleaned up, I mean destroyed. So I'm gonna carve into this mountain, make it look all nature-y and stuff. And it should really help enhance the look of this area, because this is honestly quite an eyesore. And if it feels like I'm going through this episode really quickly, that's because I am. I have been working on this for way too long. This episode already has taken like 20 to 30 hours, maybe? Probably more. It has been a lot. So we're gonna wrap this up as quickly as possible, hit one more time lapse, and I will be right back when I have this looking all pretty. And now it's pretty. You see what I was going for? Turtle swims by, you know, destroys all this landscape, leaves a beautiful path. This is supposed to represent like a a paddle of his fin, you know, like one swoop. He's a big guy, big turtle. Try not to think about it too hard, because, you know, his fin actually, you know, it ends here where the river does. So this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But at a glance, you can kind of see what happened. You know, he carved into this mountain with his fin, and in turn made it beautiful. Makes sense to me. And can I just say, the shaping of this was a nightmare for me, especially the bottom, because it needs to all cave in towards the middle, right? But it also needs to like go this way, and I can't do both. It didn't work. I'm still not totally pleased with it, but all this junk on top kind of covered up the failings of the shape, so not a problem. But with that being said, there is now only one thing left. There is now only one thing left to do, and it is honestly the part that I've been most excited for. But first, I'm gonna destroy these beacons, because they ugly. Boom, much better. And now that I'm done that, I can finally fix my big turtle's cute little toes. Perfecto. And now I can actually get into what I was talking about. The thing I've been waiting to do for so long now is put down some turtle statues. That's right. I have prepared 3 different sized turtle statues in a creative testing world. We got the biggest boy, where there's only going to be one of. Got medium boy and tiny boy. I'm going to scatter these around on the hills, and it's going to just really help create that god turtle effect that I'm looking for. There's more backstory behind these statues, but we'll get into that at a later date. For now, let's plop them into the world. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, over 100 hours later, and my biggest, stupidest, most entirely pointless build is finally complete. We start at our big turtle god, we make our way through, find the path that he carved his way through the mountain to make pretty. The turtle statues from an ancient civilization across the side. Big old tear through the middle where his fin left a mark, and it tapers out towards where he came from. And I say that it's 100% done. In reality, it's more like 85% done, but it's done for today. In a future episode, I think I'm gonna come back here and do a little more work to make it more like there was a civilization built around here. That was the idea with the statues and everything. I just don't have the time or the mental strength to keep working on this any longer right now. So we're going to come back later, probably turn all this whole area into like an ancient ruined village and mess up these statues a little more because they're a bit too perfect. But that is definitely an issue for future Filkwan, because present Filkwan is exhausted. I have spent way too long on this project, and way too long on this video specifically, so it is time to wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this build, and I will catch you in the next one, where I think we are going to head back to Hollow Mountain itself. I'm excited.
Subscribe.
Do it.